welcome you all to first briefing on our security threat assessment findings. At this juncture, just briefly, the Director of Programs, Mr. Salabi Hashim, give us a brief purpose on this press statement before we go into the press statement.
All right, thank you very much, Anna, and the distinguished gentlemen of the press, the Executive Director of the Foundation and the C. The essence for our gathering today is basically 17 days before the commencement of the poll. We want to present to you some of the evaluation of threat prognosis that the Foundation undertook. Basically, for us, we thought that it is important to draw the attention of stakeholders to major drivers of conflicts in specific locations, because we think that it is important that we highlight some of the pre-election gaps related to insecurity during election, and of course, what are the post-election threats that might be coming. So what we're going to do this morning is to look at the trend, look at the threats, and of course see what are the potential features that relates to election, and of course what are the things that we need to really pay attention to. The STAs, as we call it within the Foundation, is actually a process that we undertake during the election year regularly to be able to do an analysis of threat. Is to be able to understand what are the stabilizing and the destabilizing factors that we need to really that might serve us mechanism that comes from state actors. And of course, it is important to look at what are the residual, what are the persistent, and of course, what are those things that potential underlying the ability to mobilize and galvanize support at different levels. So the essence today is just to be able to paint for you the picture of what it looks like currently in the state of the nation regarding security, and what could be done differently, and of course what are the specificity regarding challenges and setbacks and issues that we all need to pay attention to, and of course that the media can also begin to work that regard. Having said that, I think it would be nice to just request the Executive Director to take it up from there. Thank you.
Before the Executive Director between the press statement, I would kindly advise that all our people are silent. So I'll just introduce the Executive Director of the Foundation, Mr. Gatti.
Yeah, thank you, Anne. Thank you, Salau. Good morning. Good morning, our friends and partners, the Federal Media Organization. The DOD have laid the foundation for what we're here today. And I'm sure as Nigerians, we are all interested in the outcome of the 2023 election. Particularly, our interest lies in the fact that we want a peaceful election, the election that after at the end of the process will all be alive, and still have a country called Nigeria existing, having all of our businesses and activities going on well. Before I commence the first statement proper, Gabriel, can you project? I just want to take us through just a quick look at the map to show you where we are as a country. The idea of this press conference is for all stakeholders to be proactive in terms of responding to real and time needs of the various situations and challenges we see from across all of the 36 states within the FCT. From the map here, you can see that apart from Kano, Jigawa, and the FCT, every other state or part of the country is not as peaceful as it needs to be. And clearly, the situation could change, either from amber to red or from red to green. It depends on how we're able to respond to those challenges. And so this is the fallout of the survey that we did. between December and November, and December and January. And the findings we got from the survey is what is reflected that you can see clearly showing that about almost 21 states are red. And then of course we have 13 states that could go either left or right. And we have only 3 states that can look normal as of today. And I think this is not a good situation for us as a people. We need to all respond as media people, as Nigerians, and of course, rest of Nigeria. We hope that all of us will be able to ensure that this election counts and is as free as possible. So, distinguished members of the press, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this press conference on the assessment of the security threat in the forthcoming general elections in Nigeria. CLEEN Foundation, which has been committed to the promotion of safety and security, human rights, and access to justice in Nigeria, consider it very important researchers have called the 6th geopolitical and make recommendation for the successful conduct of the election. Some of the recommendations are critical towards minimizing the security threat for a more credible and violence-free election. The frequent serious attack recent months are highly worrisome and condemnable. The pattern of recent attack on security facilities and INEC infrastructure is suggestive that the country the law enforcement agencies need to take measures to prevent further attack, to boost the confidence. And I'm sure as all of you have told you, during the last interaction that the INEC chairman had in the Chatham House, he did say that this election is beautiful and beautiful. In the sense that some of them are going to be first-time voters. But the worry for us is the fact that if we don't address some of these issues that we identify in the course of society, a lot of parents will not allow their little work children that we see every day around us. So we are aware that this is the first time that INEC is enhancing the significant introduction of technology into the election, and this comes with its own challenges. Surveillance and intelligence gathering are some of the sophisticated methods that the law enforcement authority must continue to sustain to tackle security challenges before, during, and after the general election. The threat to the election need must be addressed to counter all attempts at democratic governance. And criminal attacks on police, INEC offices, which if not fairly addressed, may pose serious challenge to the election, peaceful coexistence, and the unity of the beloved nation. I'm sure how many INEC facilities have been destroyed. By the record, it's just the same we have about 11 to 15 that have been dealt with. We know that this is a serious warning to a lot of persons. We've seen how politicians have used words during campaign and even in some of your programs. We've seen how some of them are making caricature of others, and those kind of body languages and the response and reaction by people and the politician is not good. We know in certain campaign people have but some persons need to be arrested, some persons need to be prosecuted, not to create more problems for the country more than what we have. From the northmost point of the country to the southmost state across the wide expanse of the east, east-west sweep, Nigeria is experiencing ordinary political conversation, electoral campaign should focus on the solution to these challenges. You know, we think that we should be discussing issues. We think that the focus of this election should be all about addressing the insecurity that we face as a people, discussing the fuel crisis, discussing poverty, discussing joblessness of Nigeria youth. But we see that most of these campaign issues are not being addressed. The politicians tend to focus on each other, and Nigeria is beyond each and every one of these politicians and the political party. If there is no Nigeria today, there will be a political party and politicians. And so we think that these are the campaigns that they need to change the approach to the campaign as we move towards the presidential activity to interrogate what they are presenting to ensure that at the end of the day we're taking the best possible decision. Now, I'm sure you'll be curious to know what is the methodology that we use in arriving at some of our findings. The political zone in Nigeria to map out key electoral risk factors peculiar to each political zone using the election violence mitigation tool of the electoral institute of INEC, developed to track electoral risk factors with potential of impact information on public safety and security of the citizen, election-related violence across the country, and even within the zones, the challenging part from state to another, you know. But generally, there's a threat to peace. Mr. President, for doing that, making it a law in 2022, and INEC introduction of the VBAC, which is, I think, one of the major reasons why a lot of young persons are interested in the 2023 election. This has generated a lot of public interest, especially among youth, who turn out to register in large number to participate in Nigeria's forthcoming election. The motivation for the youth, which I must emphasize, is seems to be their faith in technology and the promise of transmission of election results from the polling unit to the INEC register viewing portal. I think that's a strong motivation that we think if we're able to get it right, it will sustain our democracy, it will ensure free and fair election, and to participate in all several of election before they think their result, I mean the election will count and their vote will make impact as we move on as a people. These measures seem to have boosted citizens' trust and confidence that the election will be transparent, and they believe that the vote will count towards determining the winner of the election. Now, we've clearly seen how people have weaponized poverty in Nigeria, and there's the fear that politicians will exploit the high rate of poverty in the country. As I speak to you now, a lot of us here are running cashless, you know, and that's an issue of worry, because if we don't have that money to spend and somebody is showing you clear 5,000, a lot of people think that 5,000 is 1 million as at the day. Because with your money in the bank, your POS, with your ATM, strong person or the other, and all of these are challenges. Political touting. Majority of Nigerians perceive the activities of political touts as a recipe for violence during the 2023 election history. The formation of good soldiers and army by political parties is an ugly development that needs to be checked by security agencies to avert violence that will impede voters' turnout, thereby affecting the credibility of the elections and may induce voter apathy, which is capable of impacting on the election day. If people don't feel secure, people definitely will not come and vote. And where you have non-state actors becoming too powerful and powerful than states, and the fact that people will not want to risk their lives. In as much as we commended Mr. President for the Electoral Act, we think that there seems to be a perception of inadequate knowledge of the Electoral Act by the public. The inadequate knowledge of the Electoral Act among the public and to some extent by some of the various stakeholders on the election will most likely cause election violence. There is need to intensify sensitization on the role of the voters, party agents, media, civil society organizations, and I think here we want to say more that party agents need to be identified clearly. We encourage Nigerians to visit the Electoral Act and read it for themselves, so that we are all acquainted with what the law is saying, so that people don't break the law because they want to push for an election. It clearly states the role of security agents, and good security agents in particular is in charge of the electoral process, so need to be in charge of the election day, so that we are all guided. And of course, the failure of the beaver, a key factor by people triggering by temper by a model qualification and accreditation machine, which will hinder smooth conduct of election at the public at the polling unit. Majority of people were of the opinion that the beaver failure to malfunctioning is an easy trigger for violence. Data shows that over 70% of respondents consider that the failure of beaver machine may cause or lead to likely cause of election violence. With the new technology by INEC, the idea is to make election a lot simpler. Well, you agree with me that in 2015, when Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton contested their first round of election, there were a lot of accusations of influence by the Russian government. And these are countries with high technology. These are countries that over years have been using technology for their election. And so the worry here is that if there's any off time, in terms of transmitting of the result or delay transmission of the result, and some elements decide to use that opportunity to release a result, it means that whatever INEC is going to do, people are going to start reacting to it, because the first result that people will run with, people naturally assume is the right result. And therefore, there is need for the beaver machine to be protected. There is need for the beaver machine to work accurately. With the last judgment of the Oshun election, clearly people are worried because the idea we had initially was the beaver was error-proof, that there's not going to be overvoting or anything as such. And so while the case is still on, and we don't want to join issue with anybody on that, we think that these are worries that a lot of Nigerians have that we need to all address, and we need INEC assurance and the assurance of security agencies to the fact that the election, nobody is going to tamper with the machine, and results are going to be transmitted accurately. Now, of course, beyond the we're talking about the findings show that any lack of transparency in the election, accreditation, voter declaration of result, either at the polling unit or other stages, will lead to violence. We know at times results will be announced at the polling unit, and when you move it to the next stage, there are changes. And so what we're suggesting and what we find out from the field is that there must be accuracy, there must be commitment by all stakeholders to ensure that all of the stages are protected and citizens be satisfied about the election and the finding. Of course, in a country like Nigeria, the issue of misinformation, disinformation by social media is high. The rate of misinformation, the social media is very high, especially among the youth. Of course, the youth are the people that use technology more and most often on social media. This is made worse by the reopening of the attacks by political opponents, its representation of facts, ethnic profiling of persons, distortion of information, misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech. All of these are clear threat to election. This puts straight to a peaceful conduct of the election. The dissemination of fake news, deliberate distortion, and hate speech trigger violence for during and after the election. And we hope that all of us will take responsibility and advise accurately and help check fake news and bad news and ensure that we don't allow that to create confusion and disorganize the whole country. We are equally worried, based on the findings, about the death of security personnel in some polling units across the country. Some of the polling units are situated in very difficult terrains. We'll give you an example of Anambra. We'll give you an example of other community. We'll give you an example of community under control of bandits and of course non-state armed actors, and all these are clear threats to election process. And so these are threats that we think will affect the free movement of electoral material, the participation of ad hoc staff, and of course the entire election management body. So we think that those territories, government needs to take appropriate action to protect and safeguard the lives of Nigeria and ensure that those people under this kind of areas of influence or territory have the right as defined by the law to vote and let their vote count. Of course, because of the increase in adoption and kidnapping in Nigeria, the survey shows that lots of Nigerians are apprehensive. They have the fear of some desperate politicians, bad elements, and bandits may attempt to adopt electoral officers either to undermine the election or for criminal aims. Election officials will be seen as high-value targets for bargaining with politicians or political parties or government agents. Party officials and candidates may be targeted by kidnappers as they are expected to return home on their various places of work and business to cast their election. I think these are clear threats that bandits may want to show their ability and capacity at this moment to show how they are able to disrupt the election. And I think recently we saw the social media how one of the bandits was displaying almost in 10 million new currency. And so if we allow bandits to outshine the issue of speech of security challenging the country, small and light weapons. The poor order, inadequate security personnel, increasing rate of rural criminality have created unfettered access to unlawful arms and ammunition in all regions of the country. As you travel from one region to another, from one state to another, from one country to another, it's a common sight to see people with guarding pump action or some kind of weapons that they use to defend their community. And because most of these weapons are not licensed, because most of these weapons too are in the hands of people that we cannot guarantee their integrity or the use of such weapons, they could easily be used by politicians, either as scouts or security or people that can serve negative purposes. Now, when we talk about the issue of light weapons, from the finding, people are not only talking about guns. People are even worried about daggers. People are worried about bow and arrows. People are worried about swords. People are worried about cutlasses. And all of this can be used to intimidate voters. So we think that area government need to respond to this proactively by ensuring that adequate security are put in place, not at the polling unit, but on roads in and out of polling and around community. People need to feel secure. Of course, militarization of the election environment will cause fear and anxiety, which is why we think that needs to be looked into. But the militarization of the polling unit is not only a worry for conventional security, that even those non-state security agencies could militarize the whole process in support of their candidate or otherwise, and that can be a major problem. So other factors identified include intra-party conflict, partiality and corruption of agencies, security, judiciary, and INEC officials, availability and use of hard drugs, violent campaign, denial of campaign venue, and destruction of billboards and posters. The following are recommendations. For the federal and state government, the federal and state government should provide a level playing ground to all political parties and contestants by ensuring that state resources are not deployed in ways and manner that provide undue advantage to a particular candidate or candidates. The federal and state government should provide favorable environment for the media, the civil society, and election observers to perform duties without process. And of the electoral process or the directly or indirectly. The use of provision or subsection 3 of the Act, which emphasize that the places designated for religion worship, police station, and public that cannot be used for political campaigns or attack properties of candidates or their programs or ideology. We need to ensure that all politicians and political parties are protected in all regions of the country. We know there are attempts by some individuals to colorize and make politicians look as ethnic champions or religious champions. We think that in the 2023 election, politicians should be looked on the merit of what they are presenting and from what their party manifesto are, so that the public and the citizens have idea of who to vote for and to go out and vote freely. And of course, we think that the media need to be encouraged to do their work for the common good of the people. We need to ensure adequate measures are put in place to avoid logistical issues that will undermine the credibility of the election. To this end, sensitive material must be properly deployed and protected from unauthorized access. It should be collaborated, there should be collaboration with stakeholders to make special arrangements to deploy material to hard to reach areas with difficult programming. And at this point, we want to appeal to the National Union of Road Transport Workers to ensure that they are impartial, to ensure that those materials that will be entrusted into their hands are delivered, not only delivered, but delivered in a timely manner to prevent any accusation and counter accusation, and to prevent such action from overheating the politics. The Electoral Commission should ensure that all registered voters collect their PVCs. We know they've tried, and we are urging Nigerians to that they should use their PVC to ensure free, fair, and credible election. To our friends in the security agencies, and I think we've seen a lot of effort by the Inspector General of Police towards ensuring that we have more effective policing of the electoral process. As an organization, we partner with them in several training to enhance their understanding of the electoral process, to enhance their respect for human rights, respect for people going out to vote, and respect for persons with disability on election day. And we think that this sort of partnership and training by the police should continue all through the election to ensure that during these periods after the election that Nigeria is still peaceful. So we call on them to develop a robust strategic communication posture to counter violent incentive and narrative. They should ensure to be professional and transparent in their engagement with all stakeholders during the election. Security agencies should provide equal protection and level playing ground to all contestants and voters alike to ensure that no one is unduly harassed, suppressed, names of security personnel deployed for election visibly display on their uniform so that people will be able to relate and feel free with them and know that they are real. For our dear political parties, the recommendation is that the political parties and their candidates should not just sign and commit to a peace accord, but should comply with the spirit and the letter. We've seen virtually all the major political gladiators agreeing to a peaceful conduct. But some of their lieutenants and some of the people that need their campaign and some of their utterances does not show their commitment to what they signed. And we hope that they will remind themselves and ensure that they take those commitments seriously. Political parties should encourage their candidates and supporters to join hate speeches during their campaign. Agents of political parties deployed for election must be adequately trained on how to avoid electoral offenses and equally be personally responsible for their actions in the election. And one of the reasons why we think this is very important, in previous elections, we see how agents of political parties try to canvass votes on election day for their candidate, or try to negotiate for votes, or try to influence voters on election day. And I think that needs to be addressed properly. So we want to thank you as we encourage citizens to conduct themselves in line with the law and to come out to exercise their civic duties without fear, without intimidation, and without bias. And at this junction, we must thank the media for helping with the narrative, for helping to provide a true situation to the country and to the citizens, and for defending democracy. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for doing this that press statement. At this juncture, I would give room briefly for other members of the management team to, if they have comments in certain areas that to highlight. Okay. Great. So at this point, let's go straight to questions from the members of the press. You can just do so by indicating, and then online, Gabriel, please take note of people indicating to ask questions. And please, when you're giving the opportunity to ask questions, kindly introduce yourself so we can understand you and what conversation.
There are no questions. Okay.
Okay. Well, is this still morning or afternoon? Okay. Good afternoon. Land Kabbala's Monday. Thank you for this. I work for Data Communications AI. So it seems like it's a very tall order because there are 31 states prone to violence and likelihood of 13 and 3 peaceful states. So it means that the election, if not well managed, to throw the country into flames. I want to ask that having done this trade assessment, what are the rules maybe probably you have met with security agencies for them to understand that this is your assessment? And because not too long ago, the INEC assured that in terms of security, they are prepared. And I'm not sure if they are aware of this before coming out with that statement. So has there been a synergy between your organization, security agencies, INEC, to come out to really assure Nigerians and also to mitigate against all these likelihoods to ensure that at the end of the day, the election Nigerians want is being given to them. So I just want you to ensure we have the self-election. Thank you.
My name is NT. Mine is just correct and impression. INEC actually came up with the issue of because I happen to cover Abuja School of Social Work. So much about the Resident Electoral Commission has clear made it clear that the givers is nothing like it was issue of compromise by INEC. So that was another challenge, especially you guys. How do you synthesize how can this be done to ensure that now that INEC is not even considering to use the lecturers as now we are going to probably the school so that if they are found one after election, it should be sacked.
To give out information to the rest of Nigeria and the media. And therefore, we consider this press statement make information available to the public so that people on their own, I will say in this office, the duty of care is first yours than any other person. And so once you're able to provide that and you're able to do your bit, government will be able to respond to appropriately. Because when you look at the total population of police in Nigeria compared to our population, and even the total number of security personnel going to be deployed to this election compared to our population, you know it's just a drop in the ocean. And so we need to do a lot as individuals to respond to that. Again, part of what we intend to do is to share this finding with all critical stakeholders. That I must emphasize. Critical stakeholder, INEC, security agencies, political parties. I mean, every stakeholder that matters in this process is going to have a copy of the finding. What we're doing today is just to tease out part of the finding of the research and be able to say, okay, as stakeholders, this is what we need to do to ensure that we have a safe community. As an organization, I had mentioned that we had partnered with the police in various aspects of this election process. We're part of the training for digital police officers on security election. We had a strategic communication training with all of the police population officers. We had a 1 day or 2 day conference at the workshop on issue. So we'll be there doing what we need to do. And as an organization, we're going to have a situation room. And as you know, our focus is only going to be on the security and the role of security agencies to that, to complement their effort, to support their effort, and ensure that we have a free and inclusive election. So I hand over the mic to Chugo and Salau add to this, and then you respond to the second question. And this is not the charter out approach.
Also, that in past elections, what we call care of findings, stakeholders, including security agencies. And what that does for us and the head of the election is actually for all of us to be on the same page. With regards to normalization of what we found, and also ensuring that the right actions are taken with regards to the mitigation of these threats. So CLEEN will do that immediately as soon as we are done with this review, and to also follow up with them in terms of ensuring that the right things are done. So we also on election day proper, we will invite up at our situation room at the transport place. And in real time, we will monitor the elections and we will release our findings to Nigerians as the election concludes. Just like our boss rightly said, our own mandate is election security. And so in real time, we monitor the entire process and disseminate our findings. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I think we first of all to clarify the AIT coding to say that INEC does not coordinate security. INEC organizes the elections. Okay, so but what the only thing INEC does is that in the Interagency Committee on Election Security, there is this coordination effort that goes into that. But basically, INEC organizes the elections. So why the security agency have that responsibility, which the ED had clarified that the responsibly engages. And of course, to the second question, to talk about the issue of complicity of reports within the server. Yes, I mean, one of the issues that CLEEN had actually raised, basically considering the technological election, is the issue of cybersecurity. We know too well that we need to put a lot of effort in that. So, what is the capability and the capacity of state actors, for instance, to be able to police the cyberspace? And that for me is one of the critical questions that we need to ask. We have a lot of men on the, put on the ground, but of course, because of the innovations in the elections, how are we prepared from the side of the state to be able to secure that particular space? One of the critical questions that also is the fact that when you are going to admit evidence in court, what exactly becomes the instruments that is admissible? Is it the components that were present at the polling units or secondary data that you generated from the server? Those are the challenges and the complexity that came, which we also need to further clarify. And the has mentioned earlier, that is important that we continue to educate stakeholders around the provisions of the Electoral Act. If we continue to do that, and that's the idea that we are going to get over this. And for instance, it is important to also emphasize the learning process in all of these we must document. And that was one of the biggest that's what I want to point to.
Thank you. I think in conclusion, some of the points that we didn't put in the first statement, which we're happy to just give our report on, is how the fuel scarcity, the new design of the NERA or the NERA design are likely to impact on the election. And I think one other thing that is general on the street that we equally are mindful of is the fact that a lot of persons think that this first round of election will not produce a fair winner. If that happens, all of us waiting for a runoff. And how do we ensure that we're not going to have multiple interpretation of who is qualified for a runoff? Is it 24% to 10? Is it 24 states? Is it 25 states? Is it 26 states? We need to have that definition clearly stated now that it has not happened, so that people will know. Is it the person with the highest number of votes across the country with the highest number of states? And so you don't have people protesting because they don't know. And so we need to address some of these silent fears ahead of time. And I think a lot of stakeholders need to start speaking to that. We may not have need for a runoff, but it's good to prepare. And by implication, if there is a runoff, will it affect the gubernatorial election? So this is the place of planning and the place of deep thinking for all of us as a people. We hope that the idea is not that we want to ask this question or we're looking for answer. It's just to put it in our mind that we need to reflect and be able to give clear sense of direction to say, okay, this is the definition of two-thirds in our country. This is what qualifies you for rerun. And it's very clearly and it's out there so that we're able to reduce the tension that comes with a lot of that. If you talk behind you quickly, you will see that these are the infographics of some of our findings that clearly talk about the place of what people think. Please, can you put that on slides? That clearly shows what people think about how the election is going to be. The response of people, the percentage of their thoughts and how they responded to questions that were asked during the course of the research. You agree that political that constitutes a threat to peaceful election, and so you can see the percentage of people that clearly say, yeah, So when you aggregate all of it, you have more people seeing that as a threat than people seeing it as not threat. Do you agree that the media constitute a threat to peaceful election? You know, what kind of reportage are we giving now? We allow people to use our platform to, so you can clearly see that the people on the street are genuinely worried and interested in a peaceful election. And I think those of us that have the privileges that we enjoy today should be able to use our various positions to ensure that it's a free and fair election. Thank you.
Okay,
So one more thing, before we close finally, the whole idea of this press statement is not to create more tension. It's for us to be able to project and mitigate, have mitigation plans in place. That if this happens, what will be our response? You know, as a nation, we cannot be doing what Nigerian people call fly-brigade approach. And we cannot keep doing the Nigerian time and the African time that does not really work for us. We need to keep being creative. We need to think ahead of time. We need to envisage if this happens, what will be our response? Because one of the reasons why you have so much tension is the slow response to issues. And people think somebody's influencing you somewhere or you're responding or reacting to issues because you are angry. But if you're able to have it on table, to say, this is my option A, this is my option B, C, D. And as things are changing, you're able to respond appropriately. It helps everybody to be happy. And I'm sure you know that if today Nigeria is in crisis, all of us here will not come to work. Media people will not do their work. CSO people will not do their work. Nobody will benefit at the end of the day. And I think one of the points we make very strongly to our international friends is that there is no single country in Africa that can accommodate or house Nigeria if there's a problem. No single country. And therefore, it's to our own benefit that this country see as one, irrespective of the challenges we have. And we're able to manage ourselves by massaging each other's ego and saying, dear, let's manage this country for our common good, and so that the whole of Africa can survive. Again, report and research have shown that in states and countries where you have ungoverned spaces, those are states and countries where ISWAP, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, and bandits flourish. And so if Nigeria create that kind of atmosphere, it means that countries far away from here too will not be safe because they have a breeding ground, a training ground, a planning ground, and where they can move their money and resources to be able to use it against the world. So the election is not only important to us as people, it's important to the whole world and the international community. And it's our own good to have a peaceful election. Thank you.
all right, so more or less a group of 10, clearly, especially our media participants, all of our online audiences, and equally management and staff of the team being here today. We're expecting some very good reportage, and we also encourage everyone to mind, regardless of the fact that the media or not, carry the information as far as possible, and to say that safety first for everybody, and to do that with just to ensure that the election is free to a better. So yeah, thank you everyone for being here and it's looking at something. And the housekeeping media is